We'll do a little Dutch angle here. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Morning Coffee with James. I'm James, and this is my morning coffee show. How do y'all do? I'm doing good. Today, I'm going to be talking about something. I know I should be talking about politics and stuff like that, but let me just tell you what's happening in the world today. It's all going to shit, but we shouldn't be nihilistic about it. We should be a little optimistic. So, what are we talking about today? Well, I want to talk about something I've been recently thinking, and that was the hatred for the camp. And what I mean by this is that the absolute disrespect that people have for, cheesy, ridiculous shit. You know what I mean? It's like the things that, like, I kind of just don't understand why people don't like. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm talking about. Adam West show. Think about this for a moment. I've been recently watching the 80 the original Batman trilogy, quadrilogy, and the original Batman trilogy, because Batman and Robin was not made by Joel Schumacher, but a committee of sociopaths known in Hollywood as execs. Now, let me see here. Just opened up my window browser, and I don't want something blaring that's gonna affect this. So give me a second. So yeah, I watch a lot of things, and I open up a lot of windows. But I want to talk about recently this thing that it really annoys me, and that is hatred for cheesiness, campiness, or overall fun. I get annoyed with, like, a lot of people who hate, like, either the Adam West show, Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever, or anything campy, anything ridiculous, anything, that isn't serious and adult to the point where it's like, to the point where it's, dark and gritty and people are swearing constantly. I get annoyed with that. I get annoyed with that kind of writing style. I get annoyed with that kind of style of writing, and overall, because it's, I don't think it's clever. Not in the longest bit, because this is the issue I have with the so-called dark and gritty shit. It gets old after a while, and I think people need to realize this. It's like, the reason why people, like, loved Adam West Batman was that he was, like, it's an appreciation for the old. You know what I mean? It's like this whole thing about how, it's not dark, and if it's not dark and gritty or realistic, which, by the way, realism is overrated. Realism does not equal good. Just because something is realistic doesn't make it good, because this is my problem. This is my major issue. And I see it now, because when it's now bleeding into my other, mediums. Like, look, I love the Dark Knight trilogy, don't get me wrong, I think they're good, but they're not great. They're not great fucking movies, alright? Let's talk about the third one for a moment there, Chachi. I have major problems with the third Batman movie. I really do. As much as it's good, and it's actually pretty damn well made, I have problems. I also have problems when other mediums try to do this too, especially video games. The reason why I love Hideo Kojima, this is like one of the reasons why. Hideo Kojima wasn't afraid to be a video game. Was not afraid to just, like, there's a lot of, like, artists out there who, I'm using different artists from different platforms. Frank Miller is a great example, Alan Moore. They want to insert reality into fiction, which, like, guys like Grant Morrison want to, not really insert it, but go into the world and find the meaning in that world, find the serious material in there. I mean, his work on All-Star Superman was not really about, Superman, it wasn't really about Superman dying. It's really about Superman. Well, yeah, it was. It really was about how Superman faces one of the biggest challenges he's ever faced: death. And so basically, what happens is that Superman gets tricked by Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor sabotages a mission to the sun, and Superman has to save the shuttle. And what happens is he's using his Bioforce, which, by the way, if you're wondering why Superman does a lot of the impossible things he does, like saving a plane, like how he holds it up and stuff like that, he's using his bioenergy around it to kind of hold it in balance. Like, what's his face? Homelander discussed that in The Boys. The reason why Superman could have done that and why it's impossible, and by the way, why Superman is one of the better superheroes, is a better version of Homelander, it's because Superman has the ability to do the impossible. But in that sense where he's, saving that shuttle from the sun, it overcharged him like a battery. And now he's dying. So in a sense, it's like cancer. Superman got cancer from the sun, and not in the sense of I'm gonna be in the bed and I'm gonna look emaciated. He's gonna just blow up, I think, or like you don't know what's really gonna happen to him. So, anyhow, he basically now has to do these 12 labors. Like there's 12 chapters in the graphic novel, and that's the brilliance of that. Like, and it's really just sticking to the guns of it and not really changing the mythos or making it dark or realistic or gritty. Because my thing is that realism and dark and grittiness gets old after a while. Like, if you really think about it, like, how many Batman interpretations have we had that were dark, gritty and realistic? 3 of them, over and over again. We've had the Nolan trilogy. We had Ben Affleck, which is not a bad Batman. Now have Matt Reeves, which is now the pinnacle of realism, which I honestly want to go back to the Adam West stuff again. Like, I want to go back to the camp. I want to go back to the Schumacher stuff. I want to go back to even like then, like people shit on the legacy of this. It's so stupid. It's stupid. Look how stupid. I'm an adult. I like this stuff. This stuff is not. It's the fear of being looked as stupid and childish. It's fucking irritating. And I do the waving hands thing because it's like people get panicky when you talk about how much you love Batman Forever, or Batman Returns, or Batman. Well, it's not realistic. It's like, fuck you about realism. Realism gets overrated. I'm sorry to say it. The reason why entertainment sucks nowadays, because they suck the fun out of it, and everything's kind of boring. Realism equals boringness. Sure, some things can be realistic and cool, but the word you're looking for is grounded. Grounded is a word that actually is used in a lot of medium. I look at Resident Evil as an example. The 2 remakes versus the 2 originals. Resident Evil 2 and 3 versus the remake of 2 and 3. I don't really care for both the remakes of 2 and 3. I think 2 and 3 are really good games. The remakes, though, are really good games, but they're not great games. They have major flaws. They're kind of mediocre. They're kind of bland in their own right. I mean, let's be honest, the zapping feature, like Resident Evil 2, and I'm not talking about the zapping features or like there's so many they cut out a lot of shit in those. They're reimagining, people. Those 2 remakes are reimaginings. Resident Evil 1 remake deserves the title of remake because it remade the original game from the ground up. It remade everything. It improved. It added more to it. That's what you do with a remake. You add more. With a reimagine, you cut things. It's a reimagine, people. Let's be honest about this nonsense. And I'm so tired of people claiming it's a remake. It's not a fucking remake. And I will say this too. I miss the campiness. I miss absolutely the fun of Resident Evil, the campiness, the dialogue, the melodrama. I miss some of the stuff. Is the writing better in Resident Evil 2? I mean, in the remakes, is the writing absolutely better in those games? No, I don't think so. Because most of the time it's filled with cheesy, it's much more cheesier. It has too much swearing in it, which, honestly, I don't think your game needs that much swearing. Because Claire Redfield is just swearing up a storm, and I think that's just a lack of creativity, because nobody can write female characters anymore, because every female character, ever since 2016 has to swear. I'll get you swearing doesn't make you tough. And also, let's be honest, the female characters back in the 90s were true feminist characters. They weren't overly trying to act tougher than the boys. They kept their femininity. They allowed to be strong, but yet still keep that femininity. They didn't try to be men. They were trying to be women. They were trying to be strong women, not women trying to outdo the men in every aspect. It's like, next thing I'm gonna see is like them doing like, yeah, fellas, what do you think? Like, I'm sorry, you don't know how men speak. And also, I will say this too, even like, there's no romance in this. I'm sorry to say, even like, the romance between Ada and Leon was just kind of bland. And also, where the fuck are the giant spiders or the giant moth? I mean, also, don't get me started with the crocodile boss fight, which was just lackluster. That was a lackluster boss fight. I'm sorry to say it, but they cut a lot of, and I'm afraid for the Resident Evil 4 remake. My question is, why the fuck are you remaking that game? It's just gonna have the same issues as the others two. Cut content, and they don't give a shit. They're gonna make, they're gonna desexualize everything. They're gonna remove the fun. They're just gonna remove the fucking fun. And I'm sorry to say it, but I reject the remakes. They're not part of the. They're not part of the canon. I'm sorry to say it, but they're not. You can try all you want, but no. The original canon, even the remake is canon. I'm sorry to say it, the original one remake is canon. And plus, it sucks the fun out of everything. Why can't we have a game that just embraces the camp, embraces the ridiculousness, embraces its roots as a video game? Take advantage of that. I mean, the thing I love about Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid franchise, it had a sense of humor about itself. It didn't take itself that seriously, but when it needed to be serious, it hit you in the heart as hard as it can. And people, and I'm so tired of these, like, jackass, dumbass consumers who just eat up whatever because, oh, I feel intelligent because this thing is super serious and it has serious tones and it has, we need to do this. No. It's like, shut up. The Last of Us 2 is a great example of this. Full of its own... It's up its own ass. That is my problem with that game. It's up its own ass. Everything is now up its own ass. The new Lara Croft game... I'm sorry to say it, and I'm not looking for, like, girls in thongs running around or, what you get in, like, mods nowadays. It's like, no. You can get that in a mod and mod it. Fine. But I miss attractive characters. I miss characters who were feminine, but yet, strong in the sense of they're using their femininity. You know what I mean? They're not trying to hide their femininity. They're embracing it, but also kind of embracing the fact that they're women, but they're also, I don't know how to put it, but like embracing their strength as a woman and not trying to outdo a man. They're trying to be strong as a woman. And this is what my issue is nowadays. And it's like, and the same thing with the She-Hulk thing. I think nobody's upset about the strong masculine woman. But by the way, I like the fact they went with more of an aesthetically pleasing looking She-Hulk rather than trying to make it look like a man. Stop trying to be men. You're never going to be men. Get over it. Men are going to be stronger than you. They're going to be more logic than you. So shut the fuck up, feminists. I'm so tired of you. You're ruining fucking culture. You're ruining beauty. And if you ever had the chance, you'd probably destroy the priceless art in fucking art museums. Destroy them because they make you feel insecure. Hey, here's an idea. Maybe you should just inspire. It's an idea to inspire to. Inspire to that. Get the fuck over your insecurities, okay? And no, I'm not going to go into the whole Jordan Peterson thing where he didn't I'm not, because there's a whole barrel of fish I want to open up on that one, but honestly I disagree with them, but I don't think he was talking about just thick women in general. But my problem is, and this is what always been my problem is like how men and women are been written nowadays, and how fiction has been written for the past couple of years. It's this trying to be dark, gritty, realistic, because thanks to Christopher Nolan's interpretation of a guy in a gimp suit fighting a clown, it's gotten worse. And I mean, look, I love the 98, I love the Tim Burton Batman movies. I love the Joel Schumacher Batman movies. People need to fucking realize, and people need to sit down and rewatch Batman Forever. They need to rewatch the entire Nolan, that entire quadrilogy of Batman movies. And considered, yes, this is a trilogy of Batman movies. That Batman and Robin was made by Suits and guided by Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher did nothing wrong. And I keep saying that because it's true. Because he didn't make a bad Batman movie. The studio made a bad Batman movie. Joel Schumacher just guided the ship so it didn't get destroyed. And there's some things in there that I absolutely like. That you still have Mr. Freeze in there being Mr. Freeze. Even though he's doing a lot of the camp stuff, he's still trying to save his wife from a deadly disease. From, I think it's Munchausen syndrome, I think it is, or McGregor. No, it's McGregor syndrome. you know, trying to save his wife. Yes, his plan is to basically hold Gotham City ransom so he can basically, you know, freeze the entire city. But again, it's about him getting money. You know, Poison Ivy says, you know, the same origins there. She gets thrown into mixed plants and chemicals into her body and becomes Poison Ivy, able to control plants and stuff. You know, Bane, which, by the way, one of the greatest character assassinations, they made him a goon, a big dumb muscle guy. Could have been cooler if he was just the Bane from the comics. You know, hell, even, like, I will say, like, the themes of Alfred dying from the same disease his wife is, and just, you know, the idea of Alfred not being there anymore, or better yet, Bruce, you know, questioning Alfred, asking Alfred if he's too pig-headish, the duality between Batman and Robin. That's why the movie's called Batman and Robin. It's about those two in their time as being Batman and Robin. If they were to stick with the same tone they had in Batman Forever, I think the movie would have been great. If they just said, okay, we're gonna get Patrick Stewart to play Mr. Freeze, we're gonna get, I think Uma Thurman didn't do a bad job as Poison Ivy. Tone down on the Adam West shit and just kind of sprinkle it in there. And keep, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger as Bane. And Arnold Schwarzenegger as Bane would have been fucking awesome. Think about it for a second. You know, have him be like this Russian... Because we all accepted, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger... You know, we all accepted Tom Hardy as Bane. But we did, like, but the dude's not really, that's not his origin. He's not a white guy. Bane is not a white man. Bane is a is a Latino. I don't want to say Latino, or he's a South American. He's from South America. So, you know, imagine that Carly Montalban voice. I must break the bat. You know, but then change it to Arnold Schwarzenegger's Russian accent to go, I must break bat. You know, that would have been awesome. Like those three major hitters. Like, you know, one wants to freeze the world, and this is a guy who's like willing to like kill just for the ones he loves. The other one's trying to save the planet. Bane would be the guy trying to fuck with those two and be just kind of like, I'll be your dumb muscle, wink, wink, but be the one to break the bat, be the one who's really like the mastermind behind all of those two. You know what I mean? Like Batman and Robin could have been a great movie all around, you know, and fun. And it could have been like, in a sense, it could have been the James Bond franchise America needed to kind of compete with James Bond. And I'll say this too, and this is something that annoys the crap out of me as well. It's this, again, I'm so done with gritty, realistic nonsense. I want grounded, but realism is kind of overplayed. Nihilism is overplayed. Deconstructivism is overplayed. I want fun again. Bring back fun. I don't want your propaganda messaging too. You know, take that, man. It's like, shut up. You're not doing anything. Why not, if you really want to care about feminism, go into Africa. Go into those third world countries where women don't have any rights to speak and try to fight there. You get your ass kicked. The reason why you're screaming and hooting and hollering over here is the fact that you would definitely get your ass kicked here over there because you knew it. You know it. It's easier to fight where you don't have any oppositions. And I'll say this too, you guys are being assholes. Everybody. I kind of want, and again, and I also blame certain generations too. I don't blame the boomers because they grew up on Adam West Batman. I blame Generation X and my generation as well for allowing so much grittiness. And I'm sorry to say, folks, but I enjoy a little camp. I enjoy a little I do enjoy groundedness. I do enjoy a little realism, but I enjoy a little camp. I enjoy a little bit of the surreal. So yeah, I'm sorry to say it. It's getting old, and I'm sorry to say it. The Nolan trilogy is just kind of overplayed and overrated. There, I said it. And I absolutely love Batman Forever. And by the way, release the Schumacher cut of that movie. He deserves it. The man has been apologizing since day one for Batman and Robin. I think it's time to say apology accepted. And by the way, he has nothing really to apologize. You blame the studio for that one. And people need to realize that. The studio fucks up big time. I think I've spoke long enough, but all I'm just going to say is have a good day today, and remember to stay awesome, and just remember what fun really is about, okay? Peace.